when you feel lost in a wilderness, each poem is a journey home.
To create, to feel, to love, to hurt.
Grasping the winds of fate, flap your wings, change the cosmic weather vane.
I'm just so glad to see the community encouraging poetry, celebrating this, and to see it on a bus. It's so cool.
I'll read a poem that I wrote, was the first one I read.
This area is lucky to have a very vibrant community, and I think it's nice too to be involved that with C-TRAN that kind of helps us all move about around each other.
Anytime we can get art into public spaces where people who don't have a lot of access, or maybe it's not being prioritized in the home, have access to poetry is phenomenal.
Encouraging poetry and really getting out into the community. And I just love it. It's so exciting.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here and celebrating Poetry Move's 10th anniversary from 2016 2026. Our theme this year, a poetic celebration of community, was purposefully done to invite three of our open mics, one in Camas, one here in Vancouver, and one in Portland, that will be sharing their poetry with us later in the program. But thank you for celebrating today with us and dealing with all the construction. I'm Elmo, and and I'm not trying to look cool. I had cataract surgery, so these lights are really bright right now. I'd like to begin, if you don't mind, with a poem by Kwame Dawes. Kwame Dawes is the Poet Laureate of Jamaica. He's also a professor of literary arts at Brown University. And he's also one of my advisors in the Master of Fine Arts program at Pacific University in Oregon. And this particular poem is entitled Keratoconus. I cherish now all of light's fruitfulness, this day of wars and quakes under the mute sun. I repeat my songs of gratitude for being blessed. And it seems like ingratitude for me to run to that dark year. I looked up to the trees and saw what looked like streaks blurring the core of the earth. That year, the doctor said shells covered my cornea. They asked me to say more about family history, the blindness, the bees eating away at our light. All sight ceased that year. I became a poet who sees through dying cells. Poem. Please welcome Orchestra Chair Michelle Hanlon.
Thank you for being here today. Today's special to us. We're dedicating this afternoon's program to Doug Staley. Doug was a longtime board member and a champion of Orchestra, and we're honored to have his family here to celebrate with us, Cindy Staley, Andy Hultman, and his daughter Miranda Hultman. Thank you for being here. Doug served as our treasurer. He brought humor, warmth, and connection to the board. When Doug spoke about organizational challenges, he always gave you a feeling that everything and anything was possible to do. He had a positive, insightful perspective, but he always wrapped that in a really wonderfully wry sense of humor. Like many theater people, Doug had the can-do resourcefulness to make things happen. It was his superpower. He volunteered whenever there was a need, cleaning out the storage unit, running lights and sound, taking care of our finances as treasurer. He even volunteered frequently when he wasn't even sure what he was volunteering for. He's like, I'm there. He was a kind, thoughtful, and generous human. He spent around 40 years in professional theater. He directed and produced over 60 plays ranging from Shakespeare to Tennessee Williams to Stephen Sondheim. He wrote and directed video projects and created sound and stage designs. This, among other experiences he brought to our board, including managing nonprofit organizations, arts organizations, and all of the relevant duties that go along with that avocation. Doug was a loving husband and father, a valued colleague, and a great friend. He had a way of making people feel at ease and secure. He had a great sense of humor and a sharp wit, and it was balanced by his ability to cut to the core of an issue and communicate it with clarity. Doug was such an important and valued leader in Artstra, in our organization, and in the community. We miss him dearly and are grateful that we had the good fortune to have known him. We talked to Cindy and Miranda and Andy about ways that we could honor Doug's memory. And together we settled on making a donation to the Clark County Food Bank, which Doug supported regularly. Thank you for that information. Thanks. So Artstra will be making a significant donation next week to them. Our gratitude to the Staley family. Thank you. Thank you. So this collaboration, Poetry Moves, we're celebrating our 10th anniversary, and a really important part of that anniversary is our relationship with C-TRAN. It has been an amazing relationship and collaboration over the last decade. And we're always honored that someone from C-TRAN can come out and say a few words about their role in this. And this year, we get to hear from Jay Houseguard. Jay currently leads the community engagement efforts with C-TRAN as part of their communications and marketing team. He speaks Spanish. He has professional experience in outreach, immigration law, education, and community health. Jay's passionate about public service and helping people live better. Thank you for being here, Jay. Let's welcome him.
Thank you, Michelle. Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today. I've been with C-TRAN about 2 years now, and last year was my first year attending the Poetry Moves celebration. And I can honestly say I was so incredibly moved. It really touched me and stirred up a lot of emotion and reflection inside of me at a time when I think I and so many of us might feel, isolated or numb to what's going on in the world around us. It really helped me get in touch with my own emotions and then connect with those around me. I met a lot of great people here. So that's just my own kind of personal story. But speaking with C-TRAN, we're really, really thrilled to have this partnership. C-TRAN has been around 45 years now. This year's our 45th anniversary in Clark County. And yeah, it's really exciting, but one of the most amazing things we get to do is have partnerships like this with Artstra and with Poetry Moves, because part of our mission is enhancing quality of life for those in the community, and this is just one of the ways we can do that. The poetry on board the buses reaches so many people and can really be quite touching at an important moment for millions. I mean, I was looking at our ridership. We had more than 5 million rides in 2025. And so you just think about how many people get a chance to see all of this incredible poetry. So a huge thank you to all of the board members, to Michelle, to Elmo and Derek, who helped kind of arrange all of this over the past many months. And it's really important for C-TRAN to have this partnership. And so thank you to everyone for making it happen. We're happy to be here. Happy 10th year anniversary with Poetry Moves, and we look forward to many more ahead. Thank you.
So if you're wondering, I've seen him somewhere before. I just can't place him. If you've seen the video that we put out on Facebook and Instagram, he was the bus driver. Okay, so now you connected the faces. I'm so sorry, but within the busyness this morning, is Ayman here? Ayman Tazo, our youth poet? No? All right. Well, we were fortunate to have our first youth poetry contest this year, our 10th anniversary. And it's my pleasure to introduce Susan Dingle, who is our Clark County Poet Laureate, who was the juror, and she's the one that selected Ayman's poem. And since he's not here, Susan, I'll leave it up to you to share with us your experience. Thank you.
Here's the poem. Okay, this is going to be weird. I've never introduced someone who wasn't there to read a poem that I don't have. Apparently, it's on the bus. But being a poet laureate, I will not resist the opportunity to read what I wrote about it. So even though he's not here and we don't have his poem, it is my honor to introduce a new voice, the voice of the newest generation coming into the power of speaking this sacred language we call poetry. And I even had some advice for him, but you may find it useful. Since I am old and you are young, I want to tell you my secret. In case you wonder, how do you go from writing a poem to being a poet? Okay, here it is, the secret. You keep writing poems all the time, no matter what. It's how you find your voice, you tell your truth in words that make room for a reader to be with you. Even when you feel lost in a wilderness, each poem is a journey home toward wholeness. A new poem is a celebration of being human here together, no matter what kind of mess is going on in the world around us. Can I get a witness? So welcome, Ayman, you who are not here, and all of you new poets who are here. I was so happy when I discovered Ayman's poem, and I'm so happy to introduce him, but if only he were here. But isn't that something about poetry anyway? Anyway, well, let us welcome the new generation of poets, of which Ayman is a representative, and we will see his poem on the bus. Thank you.
Hello, poets and friends and everybody else. You're all my friends. Hello, my name is Derek Klein, and I've been the Poetry Moves manager since October 2023. Thank you. And I am so grateful to have been involved with 3 seasons of this important public program. Thank you all so much for being here today. In order to celebrate 10 years of Poetry Moves, we've made it our goal to highlight as many poets as possible, whether they're here or not, so we might hear their words and see them on the stage. Having gotten to know so many writers in Clark County, I can tell you that for every poet you see up here today, there are 10 more in your neighborhood writing poems, sight unseen. In the next segment, we will be welcoming the hosts of 3 local open mics who will in turn introduce 3 poets that regularly attend these community events. I hope that their work will demonstrate how vital these open mics are for artistic expression and connecting with others, and I encourage you to attend each one yourself if you haven't already. So, to kick things off, please welcome one of the hosts of Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic, which has been running in Vancouver, Washington for 20 years. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Christopher Luna.
So, since you went and mentioned how long, it's 21 years now, and we have been anti-fascist, anti-racist, pro-science, all ages and uncensored, and LGBTQ plus friendly for 21 years in Vancouver. And I didn't always have anti-racist there. In year 19, that's how long it took us to get something that I perceived of as that. And so now I say to people when they come to the reading, don't make us add something else onto the list, because I'll do it. I wanted to, before I introduce the 3 writers, and I'm guessing you want me to say their names and then sit down and then they'll come up, all right? Is that what we're doing? Okay. I wanted to acknowledge some other poets who are not here. So my wife, Tony Limbreza Luna, was a co-host from 2007, which is when I first convinced her to come out in front of the mic, and through 2020. And Morgan Page, who is also not able to be with us today, co-host since 2019. And I wrote down to remind myself who else I need to mention. Yes, I want to acknowledge Erin Aurelia, who was invited to represent Ghost Town, but is not here with us today. Derek is going to stand in for Derek, and M. Klein, his lovely wife, are a huge part of the poetry community. And I guess I want to say, too, the thing that I noticed right away when I saw the lists of people that are in the different open mics is that we could shuffle them like poetry trading cards, because all of these people come to all 3 of them and support each other and support all the mics that are here, and that's something I love about the community. So also thank you to Art at the Cave, and now I'm going to introduce the 3 poets who will represent Ghost Town, and then sit down so you can hear from them. We're going to hear from Eileen Elliott, Jim Martin, and then Derek Klein, and thank you all for having us here today.
Eileen Elliott, everybody.
I'd like to have an amen that I'm actually sober, and what I'm dealing with is some vertigo and things like that. So that's why I like to. I'm practicing to at some point become old. I decided to read a poem today that celebrates more than one community that we have right here. It's the Ukrainian American community. I wrote this poem 4 years ago, and unfortunately it's still very current. It's called Boots on the Ground, a Children's Tale, or perhaps a tale about children. The small ones cower and look up to the skies for clues. They see familiar faces, yet under unfamiliar skies. They walk as best they can in their snow-suited shuffle, not knowing how to ignore the piercing needles of cold coming through the soles of their boots. Pink sometimes, maybe a red pair with superhero logos, pressed out by the millions every year in nameless factories from far off places. Plastic material, not much more. Suitable for a rain shower tag game, perhaps, but not this. Not these little plastic boots, in spite of extra socks and mama's intentions and grandma's farewell kisses. They will not keep out the ice and the snow during the march to the border, any border. Perhaps these boots will pick up some gravel. Perhaps some soil of the journey will stay with these small ones for a while as they keep walking, kilometer after kilometer, through the forests of Ukraine, the magic forests where anything can be imagined, but not today, not today. No searching for trolls or tree spirits today. So they shuffle ahead, in hand with mother or big sister. One child hears the mama's voice and tries to comply. Hold on tight, dear children, you are my sunshines. Beautiful mother she was, perhaps still is. Her fate is not known. Such as any story about war and marching and very uncertain destinations, there are only a few certainties, long range. Innocence will die, hearts will be crushed, families torn asunder, and the cruelest certainty of all, history repeats itself.
I am no longer a young poet, but I was once, and it was all about,
I'll get it for you.
okay, thank you. It was all about, where is my beer, or something like that. I have two short ones. Is that okay? Yes. Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Oh. When you're old, you don't remember until you've lost your glasses that you're supposed to have them on. It's been an experience. Okay, the first was Spirits Who Live Within. And I wrote this in 2012. Spirits, who are they? We humans have harbored them as long as we have been on Earth. What are they? Why are they in the global human mind? How do they collaborate in what we do? How do we know? And that's what's called an epigraph, and it's in italics. It's at the top of the poem. And the poem starts here. Sprites, spirits that flash in the night, live within. Leave as we cease to live. We seek to know seekers, seekers us always. Have humans been? Pull off my woolen sweater, night. Sparks fly, some with a happy pop. I understand how and why their particular physics. Still, I attend to them, enjoy their joy. In another night, deep within a cave, would I have known them? Would static be in my vocabulary? Or would the word be spirit, sprite, demon, angel? Thank you. And the second one is one that we did at a workshop when Chris was doing them at the library. The title is Drius. Drius is my wife. She hasn't been with me now since 2011, but she's still there on my shoulder. And every now and then I hear, Jimbo, wake up, come on. And, oh yeah, okay. The scent of vanilla prances. So we had sets of words that we had to use, and we'd have to rearrange them as we went along. The scent of vanilla prances across the daisies, flying now to squeeze my attention. This is a relationship beyond the ordinary. It walks with me while flowers run to sow, to grow my love. Drius, you move me to poetry. No, more, to swim in pools of lemon squeeze, ice cream, until I collapse. The flowers love the scent of vanilla. They run to squeeze their ice cream when it flies past their swimming lemon driuses. Lost in a relationship beyond the ordinary, they move and grow, learn to walk and fly. The old collapsing nature, you squeeze love out of prancing daisies. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Eileen, and thank you, Christopher. I started with Poetry Moves in 2023, and I only found out about it because I was at Ghost Town when Lorraine Zawadny, who is in the audience with us, she was taking care of this program for many years. She's a phenomenal person, and she needed some help, and I emailed her, and the rest is history. So in a lot of ways, I wouldn't be standing here right now if it weren't for Christopher, if it weren't for Lorraine, and thank you so much for that. Thank you. I'm going to read a poem titled Spring. In the great white Tom's mottled fur, the shadows of his intended violence hide. A black cat, unspayed and hunted, hunches before his stare, yowling her threat or displeasure. In his eyes are all the Aprils and Mays of his short street-side life. Onlookers, we approach the pair like artifacts until they trot out of their ancient poses, find cover in the hedges of a dirt alley. We leave knowing these garden alcoves may keep secret kittens come August, despite our disruption. Will they be white, black, some middle mixed gray, and for how long will they quietly pad these domestic grasses? It isn't so much mystery as it is timekeeping. Summer, our birth, arrives before we're ready. Thank you all so much. Now I'm Derek Klein, the host. And now I am welcoming Poetry Street PNW from Camas. We are really excited to hear everything they're going to read and to represent them as their host. Here comes Julie. Julie, come on up.
Hi, everybody. Yes, we also owe so much to Ghost Town and Elmo Shade, for whom I wouldn't be here if I hadn't stumbled into Poetry Street, the Camas Library, and met the fabulous Susan Dingle as well. We're at the fourth Wednesdays in Camas at 6:15, so come on out. I'm going to introduce the wonderful Matt Eifert Schroeder, who produces the fun, friendly Beatnik Hootenanny at Live Well Yoga at the Camas First Fridays.
Hi. So I've spent a lot of time next to busted up engines pretty much all around the Northern Hemisphere. And doing that, you realize you owe a thank you poem to mechanics. But until I started playing music, my hands did not speak a universal language, so it could only be an incompetent thank you. So that being said, this is called A Tangible Communication, and I would like to today dedicate it to the cats in the C-TRAN garages holding Clark County down. So, if you will join me in pretending that we are in a very cheap vehicle in a very gorgeous remote place. Oh, dang. How many gallons of water we got? Broke down, ethereal, and enthralled in the tangents of chase. I am a man with useless hands and an engine that won't sing. Combustion's symphony brought me here, beyond, outside the range of cheap failure. A composition beyond my grasp, illiterate in metal, I wait and watch. The grease of language beyond language assembles itself amongst the learned. The skilled hands of technique listen, diagnose, and repair. A rippled exhaust manifold, and we can breathe again in traffic in Romania. Replace a shut-off solenoid valve, and we don't explode in the inside passage. Explain how to drive with an overheating transmission, and we are not walking out of Montana. Bungee cord a radiator back to the car that ran over its bumper in Mongolia. A forgotten part to find forward in a Ford Focus to seek the source of my Dakota diaspora. They speak the language that can bring my body to the soul of something. As I'm trying to babble the mystic into an explanation, composers of an easier reality, they train in academies and shade tree backwater traditions. Everywhere we are not dying, a machine is working by their hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. We have wonderful another poet, Aaron Boyd, who recently produced a beautiful evening of poetry in motion with pairing poets with dancers. It was incredible. Christopher Luna was one of those there, and Eric hosted, and yes. All right, so Aaron Boyd.
Thank you. And I just want to, first of all, echo what Derek said earlier about these open mics being such a vital part of our community. And, I often think about, with everything going on in the world right now, there's so much to be angry about, there's so much to be sad about, and we should be angry and we should be sad. But I truly believe that one of the most powerful ways we resist is by doing exactly what we're doing right here, by being in community, by showing up for art, by showing up for each other. And this community is just, it's so beautiful, and I just love being part of it. So thank you for having me here. And thank you, Julie and Susan. I'm gonna read, I have two short poems. This first one, working title is Breath Moves Bone, but it may be something else if you ask me tomorrow. Ghosts and ashes, smoke and salt, breath moves bone. The word inspiration literally means to breathe in. Ghosts and ashes, smoke and salt, breath moves horse. How much does a shadow weigh? Ghosts and ashes, smoke and salt, breath moves stars. You know how to love my soul. Your body can feel a wave on the ocean like a horse can feel your heartbeat from 14 feet away. This is true, by the way, they really can do that. I find hoof prints in the snow that come from nowhere and lead to nowhere. 4 perfect hoof prints in otherwise undisturbed white silence. My brother knows, he was there, and I only told the origami paper crane on my windowsill, who believed me. Sometimes at night, icy blue tendrils wrap around my brainstem with the grip of a snapping turtle. Sometimes at night, my soul leaves my body and it takes all my strength to tie a rope so that if my soul is pulled too far, she can find her way back. Sometimes at night, I stand at the threshold of the veil and listen to stories of the dead. Ghosts and ashes, smoke and salt, breath moves body. Then I have one very short one that I wrote for the roses in Eric's backyard. It's called Keep Growing Wild. Keep growing wild, like the climbing roses whose thorns kiss the sky. Stems cut back by pruning scissors, shaped into molds of cookie-cutter perfection, each leaf meticulously measured against paint samples from a hardware store, owned and operated by men who have forgotten how to be wild and who have never kissed the sky. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. And our next poet to represent Poetry Street, it's my honor to welcome Diego Giovanni Sanchez, goes by Diego, and he hosts Boca Ardiente, a Spanglish open mic in Southeast Portland.
Hello. Hi, yes, my name is Diego. I am founder and one of the hosts of Boca Ardiente, a Spanish-English Spanglish open mic held once a month in Portland. We also do workshops. We have a book club that we just started, and we are currently just put out open submissions for our first anthology that will feature Spanglish poets from the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, thank you. And then long-term goal is for us to open a community center for a kind of a literary community center for writers, where we can also offer Spanish classes, reading, writing, and so on. So yeah, thank you for having me. And this is something that I wrote early this morning, so. Am I too brown to fit in your palette of safety? Too much sun in my skin, too much history in my bones, too much barrio in the way I pronounce survival? Or am I just the wrong shade of truth for your comfort? Because you love us in murals, sepia-toned saints with soft eyes and silent mouths. You love us in curated playlists and poetry that bleeds just enough to be beautiful, but not enough to stain your hands. But me, I come loud, I come with cracked knuckles from knocking on doors that don't open unless I sand down my own edges, unless I trade my fire for something more digestible. Tell me, would I fit better if I spoke less Spanish, if my tongue didn't roll like thunder over colonized syllables, if I softened my R's into something easier to swallow? Am I too brown or just too unwilling to dilute myself for your pleasure, for your comfort, for your acceptance? Because I've seen the way you measure safety, not in absence of harm, but in absence of people like me. You say safe space like it's a room with locked doors and filtered voices, like safety means nothing unpredictable, nothing loud, nothing that reminds you this country was built on stolen rhythm and borrowed blood. And I am both. I am the reminder you try to hang like art, but never let speak. Too wild, you say. Too wild because I refuse to apologize for the way my ancestors refused to stay buried. Too wild because I carry them in my posture, in the way I take up space like it was always meant for me. You want peace, but what you really want, what you really mean is quiet. What you mean is be less, be smaller, be a version of yourself that doesn't make us question why we built walls instead of bridges. Am I too brown to deserve your version of peace? Or is your peace just a curated illusion that only survives when voices like mine are kept in the distance, admired but never invited to stay? Because here's the truth. I am not your color palette. I am the fire you tried to frame. I am not too wild. I am what happens when survival stops asking for permission. And if that makes me unsafe, then maybe safety was never meant for me. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Julia. I scared you away from the mic. Thank you so much. This has been incredible so far. And now we have one more open mic to represent. Are you stoked? Okay. Let's keep that going. We are now going to hear from Humble Poets, open mic from Portland. I'm welcoming to the stage Eric and Deborah. Come on up. Maybe Deborah's going to say which one should I do. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Derek, and everyone, Elmo, everyone who's putting things on, Diego, who helps us out at Humble Poets. He has been doing all the social media lately, and other people have, and he was our feature last month as well. So Humble Poets is we're the new kids on the block, and we have really learned a lot from Christopher at Ghost Town, also from Susan and Julie, and so we really want to thank you. And we began right after COVID, and as many of you have talked so far, just the importance of building community. And so let's hear who's going to read for us, Eric.
Well, we've got 3 of our steadfast open mic folks. I think we'll do them all 3 now, or we'll do one at a time. So first of all, we've got Ellie Huff. Come on up. Ellie says that she takes precious time away from her cats to come and write and perform for us. So welcome, Ellie.
True story. Yeah, this was the very first poetry open mic I attended, and I was like, oh, I can come here. I feel this is lovely. This first poem is actually because every open mic I go to, whichever open mic I'm at, there's always like 10 people that I'm like, oh, I wish I could write that. And so this is, for that moment, you're like, oh, I wish I could write that. So I finished this one this morning. You. Yes, you there with the brilliance. Why are you hiding under the bushel barrel? Rise up. Rise up. You are called storyteller, called monarch, butterfly, grasping the winds of fate. Flap your wings. Change the cosmic weather vane. Thanks. And I have one more. This one is the very first poem of mine that I tried to memorize, and I was inspired because Eric regularly gets up and shares his memorized poems, Emmett too, and I'm like, oh, I want to have that command of my own poem, but I'm shaking in my boots right now, so I don't know, we'll see. There's a few Spanish words, and so my deep apologies for my broken pronunciation. I have listened to it a bunch, but we'll see how it goes. It's called To My Exquisite Dainty Plum. Love, someone. I am waiting for someone to gift me 20 love poems and a song of despair. Penguin dancing in his hallowed sphere, waiting to read the inscription, if you be a poet, a poem there. Waiting to know if you'll read to me, snuggled on couch or bed, hearing in the chair opposite, thrumming reverberations in my head. I whisper summer winds to you, deliciosa. You are whispering, ye primoroso ciruela. Pristine sheets made honey decanted about the margins marked in need. Will you quibble on a line of translation, render better the Espanol conjugation? Locamente cagado de las cuestiones means what, I'll ask, with a flick of eyelash. I am waiting for, this is our favorite, this line and curve he adores, waiting for stacks of conversations to pile on the nightstand, mi amor. Elengo edgaros, edcantos. A page too far, such woes. Prose. What will others think and feel? What spinning tales will they tell, coming across our tome, browsing book aisles on their own, reading Dear, Darling, to, from, for Ella, from Henri, to Maud, Darling Valancy. A lot of Richards that went by Dick. By the way, do the men want this poem gift? Am I giving them short shrift? Dick, Dorothy, Anne, May, all my love to you, always. No exquisite dainty plum. I spy no obvious inside scoop, not even sweet sweetness, sweetheart in the used book group. Is it the generation, or does the inscription telegraph an inevitable end of the translation, a dust permutation? I am not waiting for the used book bin. I am not waiting for such an end. When it comes, may the song of despair be short and sweet, not trampled under feet as we flee the fascists. Thank you.
This lovely. Okay, our next one is, I always refer to her as the #1 humble poet because she's been coming since the beginning. Turns out, I believe you just texted me, this is the first place you ever really was on, you were on the mic, kind of, or at least at open, or one of the first. Never mind then. I was taking credit for something I shouldn't. So I'll backtrack from that. But she has been coming since day one. And Carrie Hawken, come on up.
Thanks. I have two for you today. Poet's Moon, October 2025. Last night, under a waning moon, in a city tagged by its federal government as ravaged, on fire, a terrorist haven, poets spoke unorganized, but united in community. We voiced words telling of poems found under agents' boots, next to pristine roses, at the bottom of smudged glasses, behind caution tape. We narrated personal wars with cancer and its radiation glow, preached one love as mothers and grandmothers, hurled phrases of self-acceptance, of being holy, holy, holy. One poet dropped their words with tears, soothing the group, who were in need of a good cry. The feds were buzzing the air with black choppers and violent vibrations above our heads. But the moon glow radiated poetry into our bodies, into my body, deeper than any tyrannical threat can root and soil. Last night was the first autumn night of the year that I slept well. Thank you. And this next one is called Sugar. This morning, I want an apple fritter. I feel guilty. The sugar. Yesterday morning, outside of the theater, an old woman wanted anyone to see her. Buy her paper, $1. Her eyes have forgotten how to look up, see into another's. They remember how to drop tears, see dirt on fingers pleading for help. My mother used to say her eyes were bigger than her stomach, plate piled high. My mother knew dirty hands and the want of $1 in her lifetime. She did not read the paper on Sunday mornings. She weeded through it, placed it in the fireplace bin. Apple fritters were her favorite. I gave that old woman $1. Next time, I will give her sugar. Thank you.
Beautifully done. I just want to add that it's just been such a privilege to host this with Deborah, the Humble Poets Open Mic, and the things you guys say to us that these open mics do for you. It's such an honor to hold space for everything that people tell us it's real for them while they're participating, right? It's like unreal what the people say. So we didn't really know we were sort of in community service when we started this. But it seems to be such a valuable resource, and it's really exciting too that how many there are now since COVID. Like there's just so many, and I just hope that more and more and more. And I love these events to celebrate this stuff. So one last one. We have our final poet, Patrick Tovat. Come on up, Patrick. Patrick is, he just informed me he's actually got a long history in, I didn't know, in performance and production and writing. We just thought he was a kick-ass poet, and here he is, Patrick Tovat.
When the world teeters on the brink of madness, gathering to share tangible proof of our common humanity is not only a great pleasure, but a survival strategy. Each morning I look in the mirror and wonder where the other guy went. Fresh from the sun, unconcerned, content with his hangover, his life mess, his artistic bent. What the hell, said his eyes, no hint of beware, the full-on stare of youth, overdone, careless, and cool. Winnowing, hard on a bookaholic, half-read, foot-high stack beside my chair, reluctantly filled a box for donation and then pulled out one slim paperback, Hungry Men, depression novel I had forgotten I owned. Driving to Goodwill through half-mile of rough habitation, ruined RVs, stripped cars, discarded, broken, everything. Then one and another and another and another F-15, deafening $30 million rides, rip up, up, impossible screaming ascents, Air National Guard out for constitutionals in triple-digit heat, over ratty tarps, mildewed camps, mothers, children, panting dogs, wheelchair grandma impassive in scant shade. Two young men, shirtless, skinny, sweating, gesture and smoke, leaning on the carcass of a silver Chevrolet. Thank you.
Wonderful. Ayman has arrived. Ayman? Yes. So please come on down. Ayman is a senior, right, at Valley Brook High School, Valley Catholic High School in Portland. And Susan Dingle, our Poet Laureate, was our juror and selected Ayman's poem as our youth winner this year. Ayman, it's great to have you. Come on.
I just want to say officially, welcome and thank you. We are so glad to hear your voice this afternoon.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Ayman Tazo. I am a high school senior at Valley Catholic. First, sorry, everybody, for missing my introduction. The traffic was terrible. But I just want to say thank you so much to both Susan Dingle and Elmo Shade for your outreach and just creating the space. I think it's amazing, and truly being selected as one of the readers, it makes me feel honored because I've been writing poetry since 6th grade, and and I think being here and being in this open mic is truly one of the steps that I feel I've taken to becoming a true writer, like all at once. I have it on my phone. My poetry is called Creation, and I'm very excited to read it for everybody. We live to create, to make others feel, to make them laugh, cry, hurt, seethe, blush, love, to evoke the purest emotion. Art, fashion, music, poetry, film, dance, all names for the same being. Outlets. Outlets to express ourselves, to have others walk what we felt, to have others understand what made us decide to share our stories. To share our stories is powerful. Vulnerable, yes, but powerful. Because I know out there is someone who has walked the same lines I have, wondering what life held above them, wondered if they could continue walking. And so, I'll write until the day that I die. If I convince that one person to continue, even if they drag their feet, even if they fall, and cannot get back up, because no one should be denied the chance to express, to create. You have an amazing opportunity to create, to feel, to love, to hurt, and to do it all again the next day. Revel in it, y el mundo será tuyo. Thank you.
See, it all works out. It all works out, right. We're going to take a 15-minute intermission, and I will invite you, if you have not already, to tour the bus, which is just around the corner on 12th Avenue due to the construction in the front. All of the poems that you will hear read live in the second half of the program are actually on the bus. So please treat yourself to that, and we will begin again about 2:13. See you then.
Surprising to me how great of poetry we have here in Clark County and in Vancouver. I've always, since I moved here, I've been surprised by that, and I just love it. I love the variety too. People talking on a variety of different themes, or even on the same theme in different ways.
The quality, I think I was more surprised by the diversity of writing. We had some really cool poems on immigration, poems that read as more political. I also loved the poems that we had that were really specific to the geography of this area. And yeah, I'm not surprised by the quality at all. The quality was really stunning. It was harder to narrow it down because there were so many good poems submitted. When we come together as a community to do anything with each other, because art is also often like an isolated event. We create in solitude. We're often in our rooms with our computers. So anytime we get together as a community to share our work, it's really important.
It was lovely to see the community come together and share their words with each other.
Ooh, hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. We are going to hear from the selected poets for season 15. All chosen by this year's juror, Allisa Cherry, who you will hear from later in the program. May I say, I am immensely proud of the poems featured this season. The vulnerability and artistry involved in creating these works astounds me, and I'm thrilled you're all here to acknowledge what these poets have done. I will introduce each poet one by one, and they will come up to the stage and read their poem, which has been featured as a channel card in C-TRAN buses, and you probably saw it on the break, and you can see it after the show as well. For any poets who are absent or have chosen not to read, I will read their winning poem. So, first, without further ado, we're going to hear from Laura Scorantino. Come on up. Did I mess that up even though you told me how to say it? Ciortino, right? Shortino.
I personally think being on a bus is one of the coolest places to be published. There. Humaniverse. We must see the thing through our own eyes. A pepple's rippling song on pond, rock dropped upon potato bug. When you pull at a single thing in nature, you find it attached to every other. Individualism has a cost. You might as well sleep standing up.
Thank you, Laura. We will force you to take a photo while you're up here. You have to run away very quickly if you don't want your photo taken. Next, just to clarify, is Rain here? Rain, are you here? No, okay. This next poem is by Rain Adjani from Portland, Oregon. It's called A Daughter's Declaration. Ethiopia shackles your ankles. But mama, you ladle your boiling grief into my pores. I am not your vessel, not a mirror to shatter, not a pot to stain. I am your daughter. That was by Rain Adjani from Portland, Oregon. Thank you. The next one is very dear to me. This is by M. Klein from Vancouver, Washington, and its title is Gingham. Dear Hourglass, please fold the small minutes. Build a black hole for two hands. Bring now and someday together, like corners of flannel sheets, borrowed gingham. That was by M. Klein from Vancouver, Washington. And now we are going to hear from Sherry Levine. Sherry Levine, come on up from Portland, Oregon.
Well, it's such an honor to be here. Wow, the poem's right here. Thanks, Derek. I was really worried about that. Okay. I just need to thank everybody from Artstra. I think that Clark County's amazing. I live in Portland, and we just obviously aren't as amazing as you guys. And I also have to plug my poetry series, which is called Head for the Hills. And in Southwest Portland, we've had many people here be featured readers. And next Wednesday, or this coming Wednesday, we'll have Brendan DeFrisco read and his wife, and I hope you can come. So 6 lines is really a challenge, and I spent a lot of time at my desk looking out in the yard. This is called Yellowhammer. 2 northern flickers landed on my suet feeder outside my window, red and black spots and bib. I watched how each gripped the steel, gazing at each other like stars. One head bobbing to look at the other, 2 lovers drunk with seed and fat. Thank you.
Cherry.
Thank you, Sherry. Now, you get the privilege to hear Allie Hauser from Vancouver, Washington. Allie, come on up. Here she comes. Allie Hauser, everybody.
Great to see everybody. Want to thank all my friends and family, about 3/4 of the third row, for coming out today. Really, really appreciate it. This is called Becoming Ma'am. Married, 25, my ring, a shiny badge, a business suit like a costume, the winks from men in hotel bars. What did I understand about any of it? Alone, 50, the makeup girl sees me. She steers me to the eyeliners popular with her mature customers. My veins like snaking worms. Another younger coworker promoted faster.
All right. Thank you, Allie. Now you're going to hear from Sean Louise Harris from Vancouver, Washington. Woo! Come on down.
Hey, y'all. First time presenting my poetry in front of a group. I want to just thank my family here. When I wrote this poem, I was thinking about my family. I was thinking about the news stories I think we all started hearing at the end of last year about our friends and neighbors who are being disappeared, to be blunt. We all know this is happening in our community, and I wanted to acknowledge that with my poetry. So here we go. This is called Some Places Call It Kidnapping. They took her, a mother right off the street. School kids watching, confused. Black masks, unmarked. With guns, broad daylight. Like it was nothing, like nothing else. They took our mother. Thank you.
And it might be helpful, too, for those that are maybe new to know that the poems that were selected can only be 7 lines or less, and no more than 50 characters per line. So that is a challenge in and of itself, and hats off to all the winners for adhering to that and writing such beautiful poetry.
That's right. Thank you, Alma. Thank you, and thank you, Sean Louise. Next, we are going to hear from Daphne Clifton from Portland, Oregon. Daphne, come on up.
Thank you for inviting me to be here, and I'm enjoying. Oh, this happens. Is this good? All right, perfect. My poem is called Lullaby, and I'm kind of thinking of my grandson right now. Lullaby. Leave your door ajar. Listen. Let mint, jasmine, and rose blossoms greet you today. Everything you discover. Licorice ferns unwinding into a canopy for deer mice. Oregon juncos bathing in a rain puddle. Pacific wrens singing beside your sunlit path. We'll keep you company until sunset and another evening's lullaby, this nightly hush. Thank you.
Thank you, Daphne. All right. Next, we get to hear from Alex Vigue from Ridgefield, Washington. Give it up. Get excited.
Hi, everybody. This is a poem about transformation. Bleach and buzz. Bleach and buzz for the summer, evict winter. Reap dark thoughts and dark hair, pre-game sunlight. He can't swallow a star, so he mimics one. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And now, I didn't see her. Jennifer Pratt-Walter, are you here? Say yes if you're here. Okay, no? Okay, I will read this final one. This is by Jennifer Pratt-Walter from Vancouver, Washington, a regular at Ghost Town. It is called America. It's called America Sentence Poem, number 14. Peace can slip into your doorway when you stop holding on to your war. That is by Jennifer Pratt-Walter. Thank you. And now, I have to switch over to this microphone. Hello. We now have the honor of welcoming every single poet laureate that Clark County has ever had to the stage. Please applaud for this. They are going to read you some poems in the round, which I'm excited to hear. Each one of these wonderful individuals has done so much during their tenures as laureates and beyond, so please give them each a warm welcome as they come up. I'm going to introduce them one by one. Poet laureate from 2013 to 2017, Christopher Luna. There he is. Poet laureate of Clark County from 2018 to 2020, Gwendolyn Morgan. Clark County Poet Laureate from 2020 to 2023, Ayman Tolentino. And our current Poet Laureate, whose tenure is 2023 to 2027, Susan Dingle. And now you have the opportunity to hear them read in the round. They'll be passing the mic around and sharing poems with you. Thank you so much. I'm going to hand it over to our first Poet Laureate, Christopher Luna.
Thank you. Oh, wow, thank you. That's very nice. I appreciate these folks next to me so much for everything that they did, and also all of you, because it's an opportunity to serve the community, and so we've all tried to serve you well. Poetry is music that attempts to be song, Poetry is a Magic Act, David Meltzer, Two-Way Mirror, A Poetry Notebook, 1977. I cannot remember a time when my troubled mind was not filled with questions. There is no end to the mysteries one might worry or wonder about, and the universe so vast. Therefore, it was a blessing to discover Whitman and Ginsberg that summer in my 20s, after my first failure, picking up credits in the humanities to complete a BS degree. I felt just like Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate, floating aimlessly in his parents' swimming pool while commuting out to St. Joseph's, with astral weeks on the tape deck, blissful to be tortured by Amy's thigh-high stockings during our dissection of The Love Song of Alfred J. Prufrock. Leaves of Grass and Allen Ginsberg's collected poems blew my young mind so completely that the magic in those pages determined the course of my life. The vibrancy contained in the words and phrases of each high-energy construct in those weighty tomes pulled me by the lapels into the future to place me here at the table, babbling like a madman about minute particulars and negative capability, poems that kill, and poetry as survival. My vocation, a reliable method of divination, a path to the truth, or at least a way to summon the courage to spend eternity posing the proper questions. Would you like to hold that, please?
Thank you, Christopher. I'll read a poem that I wrote, was the first one I read as Clark County Poet Laureate in 2018. It could be written today as well. And with a shout out to my spouse, Judy A. Rose, who often plays Native American flute in the background. From Before the Sun Rises. And all rain is holy water, she says. 3 raccoons came to the bird feeder this morning before she had her first cup of hibiscus tea, before it started raining. A woman was taken off a TriMet bus yesterday by ICE. On her way to work, she was late. She is in the detention center in Tacoma, her children in custody in Portland. It is raining between them. The fog rises from the Columbia River. A great blue heron lifts her wings, flies along the mud flats. Her family in Oaxaca, Otavalo, her family in Rose City Park, her family in detention, her family in deportation proceedings. She fingers the rosary in her pocket. Our Lady of Guadalupe, rosewood prayers. I will never forget you, she says to her children, niños, segregated by fear, immigration regulations. She cannot see the clouds behind the wall, the gray edges of sorrow, remembers the flight feathers of the heron, the silver chain of the rosary, rosewood, rosewater, the deer eat the wild roses in the backyard, a doe, 2 fawns, black-tailed. She will be blacklisted, is blacklisted. She dreams of the 3 sisters, black beans, corn, delicata candy striped squash. Her daughter has roses on her rain boots, splashes and puddles, sings the alphabet song in English, in Spanish, waiting for the number 2 bus. Dreaming, she walks through the waters of the Rio Grande again. Raccoons gather at the river. And all rain is holy water, she says. And all rain is holy water.
I'm so honored to sit beside you 3 as poets that I love and just wonderful human beings. This is a poem about public transit, which seems appropriate for today, but also hopefully about community. You on the max, shaking with laughter or sorrow, or both, or everything. Why hold it in? This night is frosted with a lacework of quiet, just begging to be wrecked. I'll join you. I could use a lot less inside me. Lightness. I've been heavy all day, like the power lines burdened with ice. One good wind howling up the gorge will knock out the lights, and you and I will be locked in this train, our truest selves quelled by the shame of crying in front of a stranger. Dark waiting room, cold beneath cold. Why not howl back? Each stop is the same. This moment's geometry, a tessellation to which we are integral. Your muffled sobs, the lurch of the train, my shivering dumbness, and a coyote trotting alongside the tracks. Again, repeat in every direction. Years ago, when I should have screamed, I thought better of it, which meant I thought less of myself, and ever since, my throat has been stuffed with dead leaves. But you still have something to say, so say it. To make it home, all we can do is pray the tracks are true, that the driver's awake and honorable and has someone she loves waiting for us all to step off intact. Which means to keep living, the pattern of this only moment we'll share, of course, must be broken. We'll break it, stepping off, away, you and me and every shaggy night mongrel traversing this city, dodging rocks and bottles and headlights and curses. For months now, the sun's been molting beneath the leaf rot. The wild thrive in the culverts. Those stealthy coyotes hunt so silently on their lonesome along the littered boulevards, but bring back their meager treasures to a den in the park where they curl their oily fur into one another's warmth and howl in delight for a gopher or ham bone they share. You'll make it home tonight, that much I know. When you do, I pray you open all your windows, let in the cold, unclench your jaw, and howl right back.
When we were talking about doing this, we thought it would be like a conversation of poems. So as you're listening, it seems like a conversation is emerging. This is called Keep Coming Back. It begins with an epigram from Psalm 90, verse 12. So teach us to number our days. Keep coming back. Each day I study that brown rug, gray in places, coffee stained, and watch coffee being poured from a glass pot by one of us into mismatched mugs around the long wood table, like we're huddled at a life raft piled with day-old baked goods and tissue boxes. They finally painted the walls, mint green, fresh background for old signs in that Germanic font that turns every sentence into a commandment or a koan. These slogans that deepen by the day. Easy does it. Keep it simple. One day at a time. You see those slogans everywhere you go, those battered shades with sentences that seemed incomprehensible, hieroglyphs when I first saw them, downstairs in a midtown brownstone, mornings at the mustard seed. I counted my days in a circle of broken folding chairs under basement windows, beneath the stairs, sober drunks speaking that odd language. Keep coming back. Don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle. Decades later, on the other side of the country, when a newcomer announces 30 days, we all applaud.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Susan. Oh, what does the guy in the sunglasses have to say? One more? Okay. Ode to the Poets at the Table. So I have an unpublished manuscript that's called The Magic Happens at the Table. It's been rejected as much as all of your poems have been rejected, but eventually it's a manuscript of poems about the great privilege of being able to lead creative writing workshops. Ode to the Poets at the Table. Brave explorer, devoted student, willing to place your trust in my whim, my every obsession and free association, in order to capture a bit of magic in a ridiculously brief 15 minutes. I celebrate each frustrated, determined scritch of pen across paper, each broken-hearted confession. You help me hold the space, show me that something can be made from nothing, regularly, perpetually. I promise to hold your heart in my upraised palms gently as if I were cradling a group of baby chicks, and to coo soft lullabies of optimism each time you feel paralyzed, each time you feel ready to give up. Together, we explore the mystery that is poetry. Together, our poems will begin to demonstrate our reverence for human life and the undeniable existence of rampant truth and beauty, our belief in these hybrid forms, beautiful, multilingual, ineffable, inadequate, gorgeous, incomplete, precise, and celebratory language. Write with me, sing with me these songs of love, hope, horror, joy, progress, and ambition.
This comes from Flight Feathers. Again, shout out to Judy. The North Star. The crows gather here to listen to our poems. They too recite poems, discuss Corvidae politics, poetics of black, glass, shiny flight feathers. Green gold moss grows slowly on red bricks. The crows eat the stars, our chocolate-covered shortbread cookies, chocolate brown stars embedded with white pole star sprinkles. When we're not looking, they toss the stars over their shoulders. Galactic cookies transform into celestials. The stars, seen outside of Gallup, New Mexico, where little Maria de las Estrellas is counting galaxies in the Milky Way from her adobe home. She, like the crows, has not forgotten. She has not forgotten the detention centers, the dog cages, otros niños, other girls, other children like her sisters, waiting a few hundred miles away, dreaming of red, white, and blue cowboy boots, with a star-spangled banner stitched into the seams, black musical notations of equity and freedom. Last week, her sister wet her fuchsia pink sweatpants in front of the ICE police agent. Brown uniform with a silver star. Her sadness turned into a poem, a shiny star picked up by the crow, who flew through the rainstorm, through the sorrow and protests, following the North Star here, to the center of the world to remind us, por favor, do not forget the children.
I wrote an earlier version of this poem for a nonprofit here in Clark County. Setting the first stone. When I was built by the everlasting, she set first the beam of my backbone and wired my brain to my fingers so I could hold in my head the word sanctuary, then shape it with my hands. And even through the hard years, when I fell to disrepair, stripped to the studs, my maker knew I was worth saving. Always, when you look at your life, if you can't recall whose hands held up your walls, who helped you rebuild after every storm, it's because there were so many. Your walls are lacquered with careful fingerprints, mother, neighbor, stranger who refused to look away. No one does this alone. The everlasting soldered your heart to your feet so every step you take, you could take with purpose. When your own roof is firm in the wind and keeps out the rain, the covenant demands you build a road to reach the next home. We learned this from our Maker, made in her image, made to make this world better. The hand fashions what the brain imagines. The heart inspires where the feet tread, home by home, bridge and road, connected as one body, our shared sanctuary. Come, let's build the house we call tomorrow. Help me lift the cornerstone named hope. It is the first we set in place around which everything else is made steady and true. Etch on its facade our prayers. Place beneath it a blessing of grains. Each seed is a dream we keep alive for one another.
This is a new poem, people. Somebody had to do it, right? It's called This Renegade Body. My body never had a poem before, but now here it is with its tattoo, like the flesh of a Pacific Island warrior 7 foot tall, whose body is a landscape, if like mine might be, if I let it. This body never felt its muscles until this morning, lifting weights, 10-pound weights to wake the biceps, this renegade body that hid from itself since its teenage years, now hears queer kids call themselves out, and I say, yes, that's me, a queer old white lady who can land a jab, a cross, a hook. This boxer's body calls itself out in gloves, in its stance, dancing, poised, in perfect form. And I answer, yes, dear renegade body. If you were a season, you would be spring.
So our featured poet tonight and juror for season 15 is Allisa Cherry. Allisa Cherry is the author of An Exodus of Sparks, Michigan State University Press, and the 2024 recipient of the Wellbearer Books Poetry Prize from the RCAH Center for Poetry. She currently lives in Portland, Oregon, where she teaches classes and workshops for immigrants and refugees transferring their lives to the United States, and also serves as the poetry editor of the West Trade Review. Please welcome our featured poet and juror for season 15, Allisa Cherry.
Something between my body and the crowd. My joke is always that I'm like 6 inches taller than your average poet. Yeah, can you all hear me okay? Okay, good. All right. Before I get started, I first want to say thank you to Artstra and to Poetry Moves, and also happy birthday to Poetry Moves, and to C-TRAN. I only have 15 minutes, but I'm going to go long anyhow. So I want to tell a little bit of a story to C-TRAN. Where's my guy from C-TRAN? Somewhere? Yeah, hey. I got an email after the poems ran on the bus. I got an email through my website from a young person who had started reading a poem, my poem on the bus, and had been writing it in their journal and had to get off the bus before they finished, and they reached out to me to ask me if I would send them the rest of the poem. And I have been that person on the bus, bleakly trying to make my way to work, and found a lot of beauty in public art, in public spaces, and so I feel really grateful for this program. I also want to thank all the poets who read today and who are sharing space with me. Poetry is kind of a solitary effort, and so anytime we come together in community, it's super meaningful to me. I feel like it's the antidote for the news, and I am so happy that I got to be the juror. And I also, listening to the poems, I also felt really, really good at my job because they were so amazing. All of the poets were so good today. Yeah, give it up to the poets. So good. So I'm going to read today from my book, mostly from my book, which is called An Exodus of Sparks. And I conceived of this book as a sort of braided elegy that looked at my brother's death in a drunk driving accident and my father's death to downwinder-related cancer, and then this sort of collapsing system of faith, all sort of couched in the American Southwest where I was raised. I was raised in rural Arizona. And I'm going to begin with a poem that's called Exegesis. At the end of the poem, I'm going to use this word that is descanso. That's the name of the little roadside monuments you see at the scene of catastrophic car accidents. And so this poem is called Exegesis. It is because of my brother, who will never be 20. I comb the land around Lyman Lake, seeking in its rough folds that fracture where he gave this life the slip, as if it might be marked by a Utah juniper, its trunk slowly twisting in a high desert wind, its dusty blue berries, a door code I will punch, and finally enter a room where it is always the moment before his head splits upon stone, where the stars keep spinning toward daybreak and the pickup still teeters at the end of its long roll. But it is hidden from me by a nimbus of sage, by threadleaf groundsel popping off its yellow sass, and snakeweed hiding the sinister truth
that he was not made to outlast me. Someday soon, the lupine will rise like blue spears from the dust. The globe mallow will bloom to be devoured by ants, and I will see his death happened everywhere at once. So the earth raised 1,000 descansos that said here and here and here. Thank you. Thanks. The cold that settles lifts. That poor cadaver, resting in the dissection lab, might be in her 60s, but the skin over her ribs, pilled neatly back, looks like a young cormorant ascending from a salt marsh. In order to really see her face, haloed by lank hair, shot with silver, eyelids as thin as onion skin, I have to drown out the brutal chatter of other biology students circling the table. And when I palm her liver passed to me like a sacrament tray, I find its weight contains a waning glory. We are young, some of us just beginning to fall in love, our hopes pinioned by that withered red knot slick with glycerin. Some of us think we're ready to see her dead body, but when the sheets are pulled clear, the backward hush of revelation is like holding a nest of fledglings in our mouths, so that years later, when I lay my hand upon my father's still breast, fingers unfolding across his burial whites, I will think I hear the babble of many voices or a murmuration of starlings lifting in flight. Thanks. So my father and all of my people were raised in the Four Corners area and all downwind of the nuclear testing. And for some context, my dad was born in 1944 and died in 1993. He was 49. And the Manhattan Project was 1945, and the last nuclear test on American soil was 1992. So my father's life bookended all of nuclear testing in the United States. A couple years after he died, my mother received $50,000 for his death in a class action lawsuit. All 5 of his siblings died of downwinder cancers before they reached 55. So I wrote, and this is a very American story. You probably all know people who have been impacted by downwinder-related cancer. But I wrote a longer sequence of poems called Daughter of Downwinders, and I'm going to read the first section of that poem. Daughter of Downwinders, 1. Mind pitted by the fentanyl drip, dripping reprieve into his burning body, my father loses the thread of time and mistakes me for a stranger standing beside his hospital bed. I tell him, remember, I'm your daughter, and he demands that I prove it by showing my back to him. So I, obedient to the very end, turn, unbutton my blouse, and tug it down till the small, worn stones of my upper spine and the shadow between my shoulder blades are revealed to him. But before all this, I once brought my guitar to his room so I could play for him. Halfway through the first song, my throat opened like a gate and a stone fell out. I thought I heard a violent flutter of wings, but it was only footsteps rushing to the doorway, where 3 nurses appeared breathless, and one said, "Oh, honey, we thought he had died, and you were crying." And my father couldn't stop laughing. My father found it delightful. Let a double portion of your spirit be upon me. This poem's about a horse. The you in this poem is a horse named Tristan. named Tristy. She was my friend's horse. And actually, Sherry, this, you might remember this. Where are you? Yeah, from Matthew Dickman's class. This was our animal elegy poem. So, let a double portion of your spirit be upon me. Just before I left that town for good, you and I stood in the front yard, knock-kneed, while I crimped your forelock with a curling iron and led you, untacked, to Main Street for your last Pioneer Day parade. Placid, broken by years of labor, you let me press my eye so near to yours, all I could see was a resolute darkness. In that moment, I thought we might worship the same God, which is to say, I felt we were both shying away from the dilation at the center of an undefined spook. Everything you were saddled with, every cruel rider, kicking calf, every thrown shoe, and even me, the computer programmer's daughter, who once wanted to prove she could drive 50 head of cattle across the Malpais and slapped the reins across your withers. I hoped one day you could forget it all and become only speed and the bend in the landscape, froth and flank, a shiver between the short and long pastern, the mat of your elegant bones, finally resting, cleansed by sunlight. Thank you. The original hyperlink was the word, and the word was a door that a brother and sister could walk through together and end up in different rooms. They could hold each other's hands, threaded fingers locked at the knuckles, step over the word's threshold and find themselves apart. I say the word door, and you stand before a framed variant of light. You say door, and I find my forehead pressed against particle board inside my first bedroom in Arizona before our father installed the knobs. Eye to the bored out hole, I can see your eye staring back at me. I say I, and you sight down the barrel of a rifle at an empty field from a hunting blind. You find no limit to the stillness there. You say I, and I touch the crepe-like skin of our mother's face. I can feel where her joy multiplies, but not her long aversion to sin. I say sin, but I mean weakness. You hear weakness and you are standing in your briefs on cold tile, while other boys bustle and sweat around you. You aren't sure which part of your body you should cross your arms over. I hear body, and I disconnect like a phone from its cradle. I tell you cradle, and you see me for the first time decades and decades ago, squalling in pink. The hall light shines through the crib slats and leaves bars made of darkness across my sleeping form. You say the word darkness, and I have arrived at your house before sunrise, newly divorced and unbundling my 4-year-old out of her car seat. She is round in her winter clothing, milky warm with sleep. I bury my face in her fur-lined hood until the buckle unfastens with a click. But the word doesn't wake her. She hardly even stirs. Thanks. Thank you. I'm going to read a newer poem, or a poem that's not in this book. I actually wrote this poem a couple of years ago. During tax season, I was thinking about how heartbreaking it is that some of my money goes off to fund these wars where people are being killed in places I'll never go. And I wrote this poem, and then it just recently got picked up by Arkansas International, and here we are in tax season again, and I continue to be heartsick about it. So this poem is called Death and Taxes. Just before the deadline, I surrender my W-2s, drop numbers into digital fields, little bombs I will never see detonate. My college-bound child has to file too. I want to help her with everything. I teach her that conflict calls for nuanced thinking, and history is long. I'm ashamed of the ways I fail her. I can still feel panic splinter my heart when I think of her toddler hands tapping the shower curtain and me peeking out with impatience, only to find she was choking, her body a small knot, her skin turning blue. I tore the curtain rod out of the wall to reach her, shook her until a polished stone fell from her mouth. Then I cradled her on my naked lap, sobbing until her color returned. I couldn't shower after that for days. Now I make a modest salary, helping refugees find work that pays more than minimum wage. In the office, we say family sustaining income. Some of my clients are housed at the old Ramada Inn, sharing Lunchables and Capri Suns with children whose tender bellies are suited for bologna and chai. Many fled their homes with what 2 hands can carry. No photos, no toys, no cooking pot, no stove to cook on. For the first time since the union fought for my increase, I won't receive a refund. The money the government withheld from me is already spent. And though it isn't much, it is enough to buy 4 Negev machine guns or 53 magazines to feed into one. 8,000 bullets could be purchased with the taxes I've paid, each capable of penetrating armor or concrete. A child's body is as soft as a down jacket. Even spent a casing could stop her a small gullet, and casings glint all over the rubble like treasure a child might want to swallow until their whole dark world is redeemed by its brightness. Last night I was so tired I fell asleep with the lamp on, gold pooled across my unread book. I must have looked like one of God's angels, stunningly indifferent and somehow unstained. I woke this morning to a missed call from my daughter. Nothing urgent. She just wanted to hear my voice. How is it I continue to sleep through so much need? The night I gave birth, I thought I would increase until I was every child's mother, but I never did. See my reflection, so small it fits in the mirrored surface of a cell phone. Thank you. And I'm going to end, and this is why I'm going to run long, I'm going to end with a love poem because I do think we should have like at least one of our feet firmly planted in the potential for love, and the other one we can use for, kicking. So this poem is for Jeff, and it's called The Eros of Small Details. The pearl bead, the sand in the corner of an eye, the saliva turning to powder like milk on a baby's mouth, the good sleep. Once when I was a young girl, I woke from a broken fever and was afraid someone had come in the night to stitch my eyelashes shut. I called out and my mother came with a wet rag. She laid it across my face until the sleep softened and I could open my eyes again. What warmth! What desired assistance is sown into every affection since then, and too, what fear, and also what blindness. But this did not begin as a poem about the way my mother loved me. It began with you, asleep beside me, naked and strange, ragged skin around your nail beds, a shadow bundled to the hollow of your throat. Thank you.
Allisa.
Elmo and Derek and all of the poets, thank you for filling this space with your words and with poetry and building community as you have today. Much appreciated. I just have a couple final acknowledgments. I want to thank Mayor Ann Ogle for coming and supporting poetry today. I'd like to thank Caleb Bourgeois and Wayne Simons of the Magenta Theater and the Magenta Theater for hosting us today. Thank you. We have two former chairs of ArtStra here today, Lorraine Zawadny and Karen Madsen. If you guys can raise your hands, let people know that you're here. Lorraine formerly led the Poetry Moves program before Elmo. And then finally, I'm not forgetting anyone, am I, Elmo? Finally, just thank you all for bringing your energy to this space. I want to remind everyone that we have until 3:30 to tour the bus if you have not toured the bus yet. And finally, when it's time to go, which will be just a second, I'd like Lorraine and Karen and all the poets who read and any board members of ArtStra to come on down front, and we're going to take a big group picture. Thank you all for being here.